Me and Sage have lived in the van for 1 whole year. And Kodiak too. Just kidding. So it's Learn, Live, Love Abroad here, guys. And we have lived in our van for 1 whole year this May. So let's tell you about the pros, the cons, benefit, one of the cons of van life. And as you can tell, it's a little noisy, so let's find a different spot.
Message him. Message him. Come on, bud. We're going that way, I think. So, as we're driving, let's tell you a little bit about what we're doing today, what our plan is, and all of this, fun yada yada stuff. Basically, we drove up here because, guess what? Spoiler alert, we finished a van. I know, that's huge. It's huge! So we finished a van, and we are terrified to take the next step. We're gonna, but we're terrified. So we drove up here to get out of the city, get out of our minds, and it's a perfect chance to make a video. So with that little bit of, news and fun, let's go find a spot to do this video that's a little quieter.
And
that was a long, bumpy dirt road. Holy crap. But we made it to the end of the dirt road, and apparently there's a B-17 crash site up here. We're going to go check out that placard, and then we're going to talk to you about our year in the van. So we are at the CSU Mountain Campus, so it's Pingree Park. Both Alicia and I graduated from CSU, and I didn't come up here at all, even though I was technically supposed to. But, yeah.
look at that view. So that, boop, is Rocky Mountain National Park. Cool.
So, we're on this awesome hike up in the hills, and the first thing we're going to cover before we continue on this hike is the pros of living van life. Alicia?
So, pro number 1, it has definitely increased the amount of freedom that we have felt over the last year. It is way better than living in an apartment. I mean, we get to do stuff like this on a whim, and very little planning was put into this process, which if we had an apartment in Fort Collins, we would have had to have planned to go up on the hike, and then it would have taken much more planning and a lot less freedom. So pro number 2.
Yep. Pro number 2 is it branches off of that freedom, and it's really just financial freedom. So for everyone that doesn't know, basically what we've done for this past year is we worked a 9-to-5 job and lived in a van while we did that. So that has given us the ability to be ultimately financially free. Not completely, but really, really close. That's number 2, and that's definitely, I think one of the main reasons we ended up getting into van life was just for that financial freedom. I know a lot of people get into it to travel, and that's basically what we're planning on doing now, but originally it was so that we could have a little bit more financial freedom.
The number 4 pro to van life has been owning our own piece of something. So with our first van, we owned the red van outright. For this van, we decided to take out a loan against it, but it's negligible, the amount of financial strain it's put on us. So it's been really nice to have something that's our own, as opposed to renting an apartment where you don't really own anything and it's not yours and you're paying off somebody else's mortgage. And we would love to own a house probably somewhere down the road, but that was not going to be possible for us currently. And so basically we've invested in our own tiny house, and it feels really good.
So I do have something to say on that. being able to say that we own a van is awesome. And yes, we are making payments to own our new van. However, that's payments for 5 years opposed to 30 if we were to buy a home. So the financial aspect of it is absolutely phenomenal, and by far, in my book, one of the biggest pros.
So number 5, food and a physical active lifestyle. This has been huge. Van life has totally changed the way that we eat, the way we spend our free time, all of that sort of stuff, in order to benefit our health tremendously, which is very exciting. First, food, we cook way more often. Cooking has been slightly more of a pain, but we don't fit through drive-thrus, and going out to eat is expensive, but also kind of a pain in the butt to find parking and stuff like that, when it's much more easy to find a place that we're going to spend the night and just settle in, cook our food.
So to build off that, once again, the really, really best part that I really like about this, really, one of the best things that this has done is made us be more active, yes. However, it's taken us away from TV. We still watch Netflix on our phones rarely, but we read a whole lot more, and we do, play guitar at night and do all of these other things that don't just zone you out like TV does. We've recently spent time in a household during this whole COVID thing and went back to watching TV, and wow, it drains you. Normal time in van life, we actually have to go to the gym to shower. And I think I've walked in twice, not worked out, and went and took a shower, and there is nothing weirder than that. There's nothing weirder than walking in, walking straight to the back, because that's where the bathrooms are, taking a shower, and then leaving. So it makes us actually go out and work out on a regular basis. That's kind of a weird one, but it has really helped. Denny's Point is that way. Do you know what Denny's Point is?
No.
Where are we going?
I don't know.
Okay.
We're just hiking, so.
Let's see.
Onward.
Pick a number between 1 and 10.
2.
5 or lower was Denny's Point. We're going to Denny's Point, guys!
6, or bonus pro. We've been much more intentional with what we're buying. And what that means is we just don't have space for knickknacks, for holiday decorations, for any of that sort of thing. And those were the things that we were just wasting money on, and that would break really fast and we would be throwing away, and we just don't have space for a bunch of trash. Much more intentional about not only what we buy food-wise, because we just don't have the countertop or cabinet space, but also what we've been buying intentionally anyway. The gist is we produce less trash and we eat better. Okay. Here we are at Denny's Point.
It was much closer than we thought. So, cons. Yes, there are cons, and yes, they are numerous, as I'm sure if you're planning on going into van life or anything like that. It's windy. It's windy. You have already started to think of a million cons. Where do you pee? Where do you park? Blah, 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 blah. Well, we'll show you our 5 worst cons. The things that we actually cared about, whereas everything else really just fell by the wayside. So, con number 1.
Point number 1. Biggest con ever. Not having hot water. It sucks. We can't do dishes, washing your face, you have to boil water. Not having hot water, it's the worst.
So with that being said, would we change it? Well, we recently did our van build, our second van build, and we still don't have hot water. So you're telling me that the very worst possible thing is not something that we need to fix? Well, yeah, because hot water, that's a pretty easy thing to get around. You just put your kettle on the burner and heat it up for a minute. I mean, it really doesn't take that long, but it is probably the biggest pain in the butt, especially when you're sitting down eating some delicious mac and cheese, and all you can think about instead of the delicious mac and cheese is, wow, that pot is going to be a pain in the butt to clean. Con number 2, Parking. Yes, this is the number one thing that everybody worries about and everyone bitches about, and you just can't get around it. Parking is probably the hardest thing. Either you're driving an hour and a half or 2 hours outside of town to find a parking spot, or you're running the risk of getting a knock by the police or a pesky neighbor in the middle of the night, or waking up to some drunk people fighting.
Luckily, we have, in our 1 year of van life, never gotten a knock on our van. Knock on wood. But we have gotten woken up multiple times by people screaming in the street. Just domestic cases where a couple gets into a fight or some super drunk people are fighting. Which sucks, and it totally ruins your sleep. And yeah, you have to be careful with where you park. And shitty parking spots really do make a huge difference on your mood the next day. Use your imagination.
There was an eagle.
There was an eagle. Point number 3, showering at the gym. It made both lists. It is nice because it has increased the amount of time that we've spent at the gym and that we've worked out, but it also is sometimes the last thing that you want to do before taking a shower. Sometimes you have got caught in a rainstorm on a hike and you are completely 100% muddy after you ran down the mountain. And this happened in real life. This is a true story. And you don't want to work out. So you face the fact that you have to go to the gym because you're not sleeping in your bed with a bunch of mud all over you. And you're the weirdo who walks straight to the showers and doesn't even work out. And it's really awkward. Sometimes you don't want to go to the gym at all. You just want to go to bed, but you got to shower. So, made both lists. Kind of sucks.
Con number 4, you're gonna laugh. It's too much freedom. So, in the case of being able to run around and explore everything, you can explore everything. Like that, everything is endless. It's all open and fair game. So when there's a chance for you to be able to go and do something, I don't know. I can't hardly explain it. Probably the best way to explain it is with this new van. We now have a van that doesn't limit us on our drives and costs substantially less to drive as well. So we can go anywhere, but I'm petrified to go anywhere. I don't know. Like I can't explain it. Oh.
Con number 5, the most obvious con there is. Small space. It sucks and it's awesome. It sucks because you don't have room for anything and you're constantly bumping into things and things are falling off, and Kodiak and I can't do dishes and cook at the same time. We can now in our new van. We didn't have room for laundry in our last van. We didn't even have room for trash. We didn't think anything practical through, it seems like, in the first van. We fixed a lot of those in our second van build, but the laundry still takes up a huge amount of space. And so Sage also takes up a huge amount of space.
Damn it, Sage!
She takes up probably 60% of our bed when she sleeps with us. So not having a ton of space, it kind of sucks. It's also the best thing in the world to not be bogged down with material things. But it is kind of a con. Go ahead.
So we just took you through 6 pros and 5 cons. So I feel it's only natural to give you a pro con. Why do this? What is the best, worst thing that you can possibly experience in van life? And the answer is, you're stuck with yourself. In a stressful life, you don't have to deal with who you are, because who you are is justified by your stress, by your anxiety, and all those terrible things you do is simply okay because you're stressed. But being in a van life, slowing down, having your days go nowhere near as fast as working 9 to 5, it gives you a lot of time to think, and it gives you a lot of time to look in that mirror and say, I don't really like that person. Or on the flip side, it gives you a whole lot of space and time to say, I never knew this about myself, but I really like this, or I really like potatoes. Potatoes are my go-to. there's been a lot of videos out there that say, oh, you know, I was expecting van life to fix my problems and all of this other stuff, and it doesn't do that. The reason people come out of this after a year or two in van life and they're so much more fulfilled is because they fought for every single inch of loving themselves. And that's a good thing and that's a bad thing, because no one likes waking up and not liking the person they see in the mirror, but at least at the end of it, you might like the person you see in the mirror. So, the future. That's what we haven't covered yet in our 1 year looking back.
We love van life, and that's what we have decided to continue to do, and that is why we have built this van.
So looking back on the year that we've had in van life, it's been amazing. Honestly, in the first part of our very first van, within the first month, we decided that this was for us and that we're going to continue it. So we immediately started saving, and that brings us to this van, the new one. This one, we basically decided, okay, we're going to put all of our eggs in one basket and go for it, because it's what we want to do. Looking forward, we're definitely planning on traveling more. So if you've been watching this channel, one of the 100, woo, you know that we don't post a ton. We haven't done very many of these.
We also haven't been posting in 6 months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
5 months. And that's just because we really needed to take time to think about what we wanted. We went on a trip to Japan, and we talked about whether or not we wanted to focus on that, if we wanted to focus on big, long international trips, or did we want to focus on traveling slower in our van. And then coronavirus happened, so it gave us plenty of time to think about all these decisions that we...
And throughout the entire thing, basically, we decided that, yeah, let's travel slow in our home. We really enjoyed this. The trip to Japan was really fun, but it was decently expensive. You know, that amount of money that we spent in, 2 weeks would have sustained us on the road for probably a month and a half or so. More than that, actually. No, about a month and a half. So 2 weeks or a month and a half. We picked a month and a half. So future, basically what happened with this whole coronavirus thing is she got freed up. Meaning that she has to be in the office Monday and Friday at this point. Basically, that's what's tying us down. So that means that we have 3 days during the week that we can travel, short distances, but we can travel. And then on the weekend, we can go and travel as well. But we need to be in cell service for her during the weekday. So basically, looking forward, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be traveling way more. And we're going to be putting way more effort into YouTube. We're going to be a mainstay in a household. Some household, maybe one. But it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, we started our YouTube channel in order to sort of capture the travels that we were going to go on, and the first long road trip that we went on in the van, we didn't film anything because it was just supposed to be visiting family, and then the second long road trip we went on was with my parents, so we kind of filmed some stuff there.
Here or there.
But yeah, we realized that we really want to document, not only for other people to know where to go and what to see, but also for ourselves so that we can remember this when we're, old and YouTube is no longer a thing. Thanks for watching, especially all the way to the end. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Don't do anything you don't want to, but we would appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video.
Till next time.
Just like a seed in a garden, you will grow to be tall. Staring